So hello from Green-Mopeds in London. So today we are taking out this Horwin EK3. We're going to give it a bit of a run and hopefully take it to some places where we can actually see its full potential. At the moment we are cruising along in mode 1. So here's your first piece of information that maximum speed in mode 1 is 29 miles an hour. So as we said before, it's actually, well, I guess it's more a question of luck than anything. Some of the modes might naturally fall into speed limits. So obviously the mode 1 on this bike falls naturally into a 30 mile an hour limit. So you could use it to just govern your speed when you're going through some of these zones. We'll get to what the other modes can do as we ride around. I guess the next thing to tell you is, as you can see or hear, it does make noise. That's because it's got a centrally mounted motor with a chain. So if we just step back a second, Horwin are out of China, as we've said before. They are known for their CR6, which is a fixed battery 60 mile an hour motorbike with a 6.2 kilowatt maximum powered motor. Although I don't know it for sure, I would be highly surprised if this is not the same motor in this bike, because this too is 6.2 kilowatts. It's got a nominal power, as in a continuous power, the number that you see on your V5 of 3.5 kilowatts. Okay, but 6.2 kilowatts max. 6 kilowatts is 8 horsepower. So for those of you that compare it to some of the petrol bikes that you know that are in a 125cc category, as this is, it's getting to an equivalent sort of range of power that you might expect. Okay. So, as I said, Horwin out of China. They're imported into the UK by Artisan, and we're one of their dealers in London. There are actually 2 mopeds that Horwin do, and that's the EK1 and the EK3, and within that there are 2 different models. Neither of which we get, by the way. So there is an EK1 Lite and there is something called an EK3 Deluxe. So the Deluxe, as I said, we don't get. Some people are talking about it, but we don't get it over here. It's just like in the old days when you used to get a GL and an L category car. You're just getting a bit more sort of luxury, I suppose. The only luxury really that you're getting is a floor mat, which you can add to this bike anyway for £45, and a leather seat and matching brown leather grips on the handlebars. And that is the only difference. Everything else is the same. Oh, there is a metallic badge on the mudguard. So you can see really that it's not necessarily something that is needed, especially as Artisan are actually known for adding on some leather seat options to the bikes that they sell. So, for example, if you look on our website at the CR6 and the EV2000, both from Artisan, there are options for leather seats, and that is something that Artisan themselves are adding on, not the manufacturer. Okay, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they make their own deluxe version by producing a black leather seat for this, or brown, or some of the other colours that they do on some of their other bikes. Okay, so yeah, don't worry too much about the deluxe version or the light version on the EK1 either, as they're not coming as far as I know. So one thing you might have noticed when we were riding at 29 miles an hour was that this surround changed colour. So that is a feature of the bike. You'll see it as we do more and more speed, it changes colour again. This bike is sort of up there in terms of being quite in terms of its design, I mean, it's got quite a modern style. It's actually just won a Red Dot Design Award for its actual design itself. That has also been won, just out of interest, by Super Soccer with their TC Max. NIU won it when they first brought out the M1, which was the very first version of the M, back in 2018. TC Max won it last year, I think it was, or maybe 2019. So this bike has sort of joined their ranks with this Red Dot Design Award for 2021. Okay, the design is modern. They've done a nice job on the running lights, I have to say. So there are these lights on the side, as well as quite a distinctive front light as well, and that's in addition to the obviously headlights. The headlights themselves can be turned off completely, which is a different approach to what some people do. As part of the sort of European regulations on these bikes, you actually do have to have lights on all the time, so their running lights cover that. Okay, so as you can see now, we're in mode 2, and it's gone to blue again because now it's gone to yellow because we've gone over 40. Okay, no particular reason for it, just a bit of a visual clue that you're going a bit faster. As you can see, there's no problem with acceleration. This bike does weigh 95 kilos with one battery. Okay, and its total maximum laden mass is I think it's about 280 kilos. So that's the total weight that this bike is sort of tested or able to carry. Okay, so good for delivery type tasks, certainly powerful enough to take 2 people. One of the different design approaches that they've done on this bike is actually the battery, which is a 72 volt 40 amp hour battery. So as I said on some of the other reviews, some of the manufacturers now are sort of fairly standardizing on 72 volts. And perhaps the other ones should consider upping their game a bit. But this bike with one 72 volt 40 amp hour battery has a charging time of about 4 hours if you were to run it flat. Okay, and you put it into the bike, essentially it goes across the bike, so it's sort of landscape rather than portrait, if that makes any sense. What that means is that the seat is quite wide, which makes it obviously more comfortable, and especially with the second person. Sometimes on these bikes you find that the seat for the second person is it's not really capable of being comfortable for a second person, but because this bike has got quite a wide body, I would say that is fine on this bike. Okay. So with one battery you can get a quoted range of 50 miles, so let's say that's 45 miles. Okay, with one battery. You can add a second battery, although you might not want to. The second battery, because it wouldn't be on the grant, would actually put this bike up to about £5,000. Okay, that's before OTR and all the other stuff. With one battery, with the 40-50 mile range, it is 359. So basically the same price as an NIU GTS Pro. Okay, so obviously when people do look at these bikes, they do compare, and as we've said quite a few times, NIU are good on the range side. Range is typically what you would look for in their bikes. Okay, power, you might find more power on other bikes, and that would be the case if you did a comparison on these two, the NIU NQI GTS Pro and the Horwin EK3 with one battery. Okay, so the GTS Pro would give you 70 to 80 mile range, whereas this one, for pretty much the same money, while it would give you 45-50 mile range, you gain on speed and power. Okay, so an NIU NQi GTS, or either Pro or Sport, has got sort of a realistic speed of about 45, whereas this one, we will find out, should be nearer 60. So it's I guess it's a choice you would make for the same money. If you want more range, you could consider adding a second battery to this, or if you wanted more speed, you would almost certainly choose this one. Okay. Unfortunately, they didn't bring out a model with the two batteries already built in, because that would have enabled the second battery to be included on the grant and hence save 20%, which would have brought the price down. That is potentially something they could look at. But anyway, so back to charging time. Yeah, 4 hours is from flat, and the bike can be charged either through the port, which is sort of beneath, between my legs, or obviously directly into the battery. There is only one lead into the battery compartment. So in other words, even if you had the second battery, like many other bikes, we reviewed one the other day, you are basically carrying the second battery. Okay, you aren't necessarily using it. So there isn't any splitter, there are not two leads under the seat for the second battery. So you basically ride along carrying the second battery, and when you want to get more range, you basically swap the lead. So pull over and swap the lead. And as I said, that is not unusual. If you don't have the second battery, there is enough space under the seat for a helmet, and or, well, not and the charger, or the charger, plus your lock and stuff like that. So they have thought about that part. You know, lots of these bikes that are around, there's either no space under the seat because it's just full of battery, or even if there is space for a second battery, without that battery being used, the space is not usable for a helmet. Okay. Okay, so if you had two batteries and they were both flat, then obviously you would have to think about possibly buying a second charger, which is possible as well. Okay. While we're on the extras, so as I said, the floor mat can be bought as an extra for this. I would suggest it because you don't want water getting into the bike anywhere really, and the floor mat would certainly help in that. So that's one option. Obviously there's a rack as well, and then you could, you know, basically pick any sort of top box that you want. So we suggest Shad as our sort of go-to brand. They're good quality and lots of choice on size, so that would be certainly an option to think about. They are also looking at getting a GPS module fitted, or certainly as an option. Okay, so many of the brands are sort of standardizing on having an app for tracking and checking. The checking part is probably superfluous. You know, most of the time if there's an issue, there'll be some sort of error code that you can see anyway without having to go to the app. In fact, when I've had customers call us with a problem and I say, what does the app say? The app never never tells you anything that's necessarily going to help you. Okay, so that part, okay, you could probably survive without. The tracking part is useful. Obviously, if your bike has been stolen or being ridden away, it will give you real-time updates as to where they're taking it. So that is something that would be useful, and Artisan are looking at getting that added. Okay, so that I guess when that becomes available, we can let you know about that. Okay, So other than the mat and the rack, second charger might be an option if you were going to go down the route of investing in a second battery. And obviously with that second battery, your range is going up to 90 to 100 miles, or 85 to 100 miles, something like that, which is putting it up there with the likes of a CPX or RoboS or something like that. Okay, so as I say, that would be over £5,000 if you wanted to do that. Okay. So in terms of the sort of layout, other than this sort of changing colour on the dashboard, it's fairly clear to work out what's going on. Obviously you've got your speed there, in the middle you've got what mode you're in, you've got your remaining battery, trip counter, total mileage, what have you, and then up here you've got this indicator of how much amps you're drawing, as I've said before on the review. I'm not sure on the usefulness of that part, because so I know I'm drawing amps, but it doesn't tell me what my range is. You're still going to have to basically work it out from your sort of in your head, basically, based upon past experience. Okay, so but other than that, it's totally fine. It's got this sliding element here, which allows you to start the bike with your finger, as long as the remote or the fob is within the vicinity of the bike. Okay, so it's not that anybody can start it. You have to have the fob and the alarm deactivated as well. Okay, so it is quite a convenient feature. The fact that the key is now in with the fob is just basically the way I've chosen to ride it. I didn't have to do that. I could have kept the fob in my pocket. Okay, so that's that. So now let's see what we get up to on the A3. Okay, so so we'll just go basically one junction down. We've done this on other bikes before, and just see what we get to. Okay, so here we go. So now we're into red because we're over 45, I think it is. Okay. So 56, 57, 59. Okay, so 60. So this is actually the same road that we were riding the CR6 down. This is a 95 kilo bike, so less than the CR6 by about 30 kilos. So that's probably why we seem to be getting to this speed a lot easier. So 61 we've got now, 60. You see the amps on the dash are fully up. So we're drawing all of the power we can from the battery. But other than the wind, we possibly should have got a windscreen. There isn't actually a windscreen for this bike as yet. You've only got the wind deflector that comes from the shape of the bike itself. So I'm not sure how much you would like to be doing this on a constant basis, but it certainly shows you that you can get to the claimed 60 miles an hour, which is good. I mean, you do get these bikes that claim certain things and don't actually make it, so it's good to see that they can do that. So what we'll do is we'll come off at the next junction, and we'll just see how quickly it gets to 60 from a standing start, and hopefully that will help you see what this bike can do. Okay, so we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're now at a standing start. We're going to just essentially floor it and see what happens. We'll get you the time, and we will put it up on the screen to give you an idea of what its 0 to top is. We got up to 64 on the way down. So, but as you might be able to tell, there is a slight incline coming against us on this particular part of the A3. So we might not get all the way up to 64 again, but anyway, should at least get to 60. Although it's very noisy here, I don't know if you can know that often here that we talk about indicators and can you hear them. While they're not self-cancelling, you have to actually put them back into centre yourself. There is a tick at least, so you should be able to hear that, although probably not at speed and not on a road like this, but anyway. Okay, so we'll just start off when we see a break in the traffic and see where we get to. Okay, so let's go. So already at 30, so we're just in top now, 35, 40, 43. So at 48, the dash goes to red, just so you know. So, okay, 52. Okay, so this incline that I mentioned is probably the bit that's stopping us to get to 60 here. But we got to 54 in fairly quick order. As you can see, it's chomping through the amps right now and also the battery. We did start this at full power, full capacity rather, on the battery, so you certainly probably not going to get you 50 miles if you're riding like this all the time. Okay, so I hope that helped. I mean, it's certainly capable of doing sort of mid-50s, you know, in conditions that were probably not perfectly flat and not windy and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully that has helped you see the sort of capabilities of this bike. Just to cover off a few other things. So it is on the grant. So the 3,592 is the price after the grant deduction. So in other words, you're basically getting almost sort of £900 off of this bike because of the grant. The grant gives you the 3-year warranty on the battery and the 2-year warranty on the bike itself. Okay, Artisan are including breakdown cover in the price of the bike, which is obviously a good thing. So that's you know, if your bike breaks down while you're out riding it, then you can get like an AA type service and things like that. Okay, and then with the warranty you'll get you know, parts and labour and everything else like that sorted. In terms of things like colours, so this is the black. There is a sort of slate grey, storm grey, something like that, and then a sort of quite a striking red and a white. Okay. Other features, as I said, it's got an alarm. There's a USB charging port for your phone in the little glove compartment. Okay. As I said, it does come with storage when you just use one battery, so you won't necessarily need a rack, but most people do. Okay, and I think that's about it. I think we've covered everything. Oh, okay, yeah, so some other interesting things about it. Obviously, front and rear discs, front and rear shocks. Interestingly, it is a bike that has 2 different size wheels. So 14-inch at the front, but 13-inch wheel at the back. Not particularly an issue, obviously, other than when you buy tyres, I guess. Because it's chain driven, you will have to sort of incorporate that into your maintenance of the bike. Okay, chains are known to stretch a little bit as they sort of bed in, although belts like on the TC Max would probably do the same. But other than that, the maintenance side of it is fairly standard for an electric bike, that is. Most of the time it's going to be brakes, nuts and bolts and things like that. Okay. So I guess in summary, it's certainly the most powerful bike that we do in terms of moped style, or step through if you prefer style. At the moment, 6.2 kilowatts is certainly more than any other bike. Speed is therefore the most of, probably including the CR6, because of the 30 kilos less in weight. It's probably more performant than that. As I said, we'll put the figures up when we get back for the speed. So if you want the sort of fastest and most powerful bike that's electric, that doesn't get into, you know, BMW C Evolution price territory, which would be 3 times the price of this, you want a bike that, you know, clearly can perform in terms of speed, with the sort of proviso that, you know, you've got this 40 to 50 mile limit, then this might well be the bike for you. So hopefully that's helped you in your research, and we will be open for test rides shortly again soon, I think in a couple of weeks. Obviously there are lots of other reviews on our YouTube channel, which is called Green-Mopeds. If you'd like to subscribe and see whenever we put these new reviews up, then you're more than welcome. Any other questions, then please feel free to contact us at hello@greenmopeds.com, and thanks very much.